Oh, yeah, we're back. Two hands inside the box. It's your boy, BC Brian Campbell, the BCX. And wow, I got a partner normally from Detroit named Rafe Bartholomew. Who am I looking at right here?
Oh no, it's me, Brian. But I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to change. I actually just drove back from New York. I was there over the weekend, taking care of a little business, if you know what I mean.
Did you have, wait, I know you, I know Rafe Bartholomew. He does not watch women's boxing. So you didn't happen to be there for the Mikaela Mayer Sandy Ryan fight, right?
Well, Brian, I was there for the fight, but I wasn't there for the Madison Square Garden part of the evening.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
like, you got me back into the sport, and I got really into the journey of Mikaela Mayer, and I just felt moved. I had to get out there and do something to put her over the top in this important fight and make her win this welterweight championship. You know what I'm saying?
Did you have something to do with her winning?
What are you talking about? No. I'm just sending vibes only, and I haven't cleaned up all my stuff back there, but you see, I'm working on my display. I have some posters I printed out of our queen, and
Welterweight champion Mikaela Mayer. Are those paint cans? The
look,
hell's going on?
I don't know. Look, I'm just saying I enjoyed the fight greatly, Brian, and anything could happen. It's just it's boxing. Boxing is a crazy sport. Just because I have these paint cans, just because I am fresh off the fresh off the car, the back of a bus from from New York, and just because I'm obscuring my face, it means nothing. Okay, I admit nothing.
My favorite part about getting you back into the box is to force you to watch great women's fights, which we had this weekend.
And that was the worst part.
Apparently, you're the suspect. Wow, do we have a lot to get into today? Inside the Box, episode 2, Tuesday, October 1st, here in 2024. Rafe's mustache still in full disgusting effect.
And still.
So you thought it, you believed it, and you received it. Is this well received in the Bartholomew household in terms of the females?
Well, the females, there are no. Well, it's honestly because of my wife, who is one of the few people on the planet who is like, oh, you got to keep that mustache. I love it.
All right. My wife, she's nice.
Yeah. But like I said, you do get the people who are into it, they reveal themselves pretty quickly. Like often at gas stations when I'm buying some liquid crack, it will be someone who's like, you look like a firefighter. Like, I like Ginger.
Wow.
You
Put
were
that
there
guy
for that
on
once
a
upon a time.
calendar. Yeah. I thought the weirdest thing about today's episode would be me finding this Pacquiao Mosley shirt at the bottom of my drawer, complete with an armpit hole on one of them, which is why I don't wear it. But who do you think owns this right now besides me?
The great collector Aris Pina definitely owns that, along with all of the boxing merchandise ever to have crossed through eBay.
First of all, former CompuBox operator Aris Pina has a fantastic tattoo collection, by the way. Miles Davis on his bicep. If you think peeing your pants is cool, let me tell you about his bicep. But I will tell you that he will probably be buying this vintage shirt 20 years from now in a New York City store, fresh
from when you are on Poor Street, trying to buy your next gas station hot dog. You may have to come up off that and sell it to Aris for $5.
All right, is Poor Street around the corner from Q Street? Because I've seen a few fighters end up there. All right, hey, let's
go to one. The next stop might be Poor Street in boxing.
Let's get fired up about women's boxing. Okay, let's talk about boxing. Let's talk about math, Richard Dwyer. We're going to talk about a lot of things, but the talk of the town, at least in boxing Twitter circles, Rafe, has been our reunion. Apparently, we're giving the people exactly what they want.
Look, I don't know if that is actually true about boxing Twitter at large, but for our little corner, the people who remembered the ropes and the ropes cast Snapchat and the championship rounds, the banned first name of the State of Combat podcast, all of those years, that long bromance. It seems like people. Look, it's cool to feel that love. I think it might even be a little overstated, but I'm not going to turn it down because we're back.
Shout out to the Irish crew. Shout out to the 80K crew. Shout out to Galachi and the
the Italian crew,
the Pinot Noir crew. Shout out to Dobson, the Hooters in Hayward, California. All the old jokes are coming back. By the way, I've had some new fans go, "Hey, BC, love this Rafe thing. Don't get any of the jokes." Okay. Sorry, you had to be here for about 8 years.
It's only getting worse. I mean, I felt like we've been reserved on the throwback references.
Yeah, you and I have at certain times in public have had like hour-long conversations using only old sound drop jokes as our fuel. But good news, I'm in the process, like I said, of getting to be able to use assets on this show. For now, it's just two guys in their dingy basement bedrooms and Rafe with a bunch of suspect
I call this my shrine, Brian. I don't know what you're talking about.
And a single white female. So the old joke in our old podcasting days was, do you care, Rafe? Do you care about this big women's boxing title match? I hope you care after the sauciness that we're going to get into in a minute, which not only featured fight of the year type theatrics in Mayer versus Ryan, but almost a movie angle, right? I mean, it's just, which movie would you compare Mikaela Mayer versus Sandy Ryan to?
What movie? I mean, it's more of a soap opera angle, isn't it, Brian?
True.
Is it more General Hospital, more the Days of Our Lives than Goodfellas?
Maybe what's that movie where the two chicks drove off the cliff at the end? Spoiler alert! All right, yeah. Okay, there you go.
I just don't want to go out like Brad Pitt in that one.
Yeah. Okay, there you go, right there. But how do you feel right now? A couple weeks being back inside the box.
Oh, it's fantastic, man. I mean, the boxing part of it is okay, but there's a lot to look forward to. But it's more about rekindling this connection we had and built over many years with so many fans who love the sport and love our dumbass musings.
Indeed. That's all we end up providing, though. Dumbass musings. But we got some things to talk about. A little bit of breaking news in the last 24 hours. It seems like Gervonta Davis is going to come back in December. It is going to be December 14th. Dan Raphael of the Fight Freaks United Substack. By the way, great place to read about boxing, to be very fair with you.
Who started this newsletter game in boxing? Who did it?
Yeah, let's respect.
Who next?
Box, please.
Who first?
Who next? As Sam Peter once said about his throat. Is the report that Gervonta is going to come back against 130-pound champion Lamont Roach in a DMV versus DMV, DC versus Baltimore type fight. But it won't be in DC, according to Raphael, because the arena's booked and they don't want to go head-to-head on the 21st with Fury versus Usyk 2. So it appears to be December 14th in Houston. Unbeaten Lamont Roach will move up from 130, where he's a title holder. He's got permission from the WBA. And there seems to be some online rumors that maybe David Benavidez, not versus David Morrell, but versus Philadelphia veteran Jesse Hart, could be the co-main to that. This would be the second time this year PBC put those two stars together in separate fights. I'm hearing rumors of maybe even a Charlo comeback on this card in Houston. If this goes down on 12-14 in H-Town, are you going to be calling up Uncle Raul and heading over to Diamantes for this, or what? How are you feeling about this?
I don't know, man. I think the agreement or the friendship between Gervonta Davis and David Benavidez to sort of help each other, boost each other's careers, I'm willing to co-main with him. I'm willing to let him be the main event. That kind of talk. That's fun to watch. I think it makes for better overall events, even if the individual matchups on this card sound kind of so-so to me. At least they're both, they're two, look, at this point in their careers, Gervonta Davis 100% and David Benavidez 99% are, price of admission fighters who you just want to see it every time they're out, even if they're not in the fight you want to see them, against the best possible opponent. But so that part is cool. It might make sense to move, we all love the idea of big name fighters, having big events in their backyards, and this could be that for Tank and Lamont Roach. But sometimes those local rivalries, the crowds get a little overboard. Like a neutral site might be all right for this. You never like every time Adrian Broner fought in Cincinnati, man, it was a mess.
Well, yeah, because he was
going crazy.
That's because everybody could get it back then. So when he's fighting Escobedo and he doesn't care about it, it can be a mess. But this was like billed as amateur rivals, Tank versus Roach, I guess as a way to make up for the fact that it's not Lomachenko who pulled out of the discussions. It's not Shakur who ended up signing the deal with Matchroom and then got hurt and needed surgery anyway. It's not Teofimo. It's not something crazy. Separate from the rest of the talk, I don't know that I'm fully sold on Roach versus Tank yet as the right opponent right now for Tank.
Of course not. Jeez,
because it plays into that negative stereotype that Tank only wants the smoke from smaller fighters moving up, like Hector Garcia a couple years ago. Like, you can keep naming them, where we all want him to take on the bigger fighters, the bigger names, where we can argue that he'd be the underdog. Let's say
he stopped Ryan Garcia's big dumb ass. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, what are we talking about here? This seems a little safe, and I don't love it per se, is really what I'm trying to say.
It's stay busy, right? It's going to be a stay busy fight. It's sometimes we can accept those, because it's part of the boxing schedule. We want fighters to be in the ring and be active, and that means you can't fight a huge, mega fight every time, especially for a star of Gervonta's caliber. But I guess in this one, it's a come down because there was serious talk, it sounds like, and at least enough to get fight fans' hopes up about maybe Lomachenko reconsidering his I don't know, hiatus from the sport, trying to figure out where to go with his career next. Is he done with the sport, or is he coming back? And
there's rumblings that he might be done, Rafe. There's actually rumblings that he might actually just be finished, which I didn't expect yet. I didn't expect that yet.
These are different cats, man. We can't predict these former Soviet, Eastern European, Central Asian fighters. Who knows, and maybe, I don't actually think this. I think that I would have loved to see him fight Tank Davis. I think that, Lomachenko has certainly looked good enough to be live in that fight and have a good chance of outboxing and winning that fight and putting this amazing capstone on his already incredible career. But he's been out tough every time. He had that long amateur career. Who knows? I mean, I would love to see him back again, but if he's not, if his heart isn't in it, he shouldn't do it. And if he doesn't need the money, then good for him, right?
Did you? Yeah, I'll back you on that. I mean, he gave us so much so quickly upon turning pro after that long amateur career. Remember, he wanted to fight for a title in his pro debut. Thought Bob was the only one that could do it, but Grandpa had to wait until fight number 2 against that guy Salido, who purposely missed weight, punched him in the balls a million times, and let Gail Van Hoy and Lawrence Cole screw him, Texas style, Texas Forever Street, indeed.
Manager Egis Klimas maybe should have sued someone after that missing weight and ball punching.
Speaking of suing, we'll get into that in a second. Did you come out of your bubble, your hole in the ground where you were hiding from boxing to watch Haney versus Lomachenko? What was that, a year ago? Spring of 23?
You betyourass.com. I did, Brian.
Okay, speaking of Raskin's employment, what'd you think on that?
I think if you asked Eric Raskin, he would say youbetyourass.com can go to hell because he's employed elsewhere now.
So we'll put it on the Steve Buscemi list along with the athletic.com, and glad I worked for that site.
I've got more Adam Sandler talk coming later on. Don't you worry. But no, what did I think of Haney Lomachenko? I thought, I love the fight. I thought that I didn't score it. I wasn't a professional at the time. I was just a fan. I was thinking that Lomachenko did enough to nick that one, but it was close enough. I'm not going to complain. And it's a tough break. Look, I think that those fighters from the Egis Klimas camp and other fighters from, Russia, former Soviet Union, basically anyone who we just call them all like Russians or Ukrainians. They could probably be from 15 different countries. But that's just America for you. Those fighters.
Talk about Azerbaijan over here. What are you talking about?
The Uzbeks, the Kazakhs. Shout out to Janet Beck. Good luck in your dumb fight this weekend.
Oh wow, dude!
I don't care.
You don't. You don't.
No. So anyway, those fighters, when they have gotten the biggest opportunities in Vegas against the biggest name, best talent they ever faced, they have always showed up, and they have never ever gotten a close card in on our homeland. Those guys have a bone to pick with the system, but it's also the system that helped them get rich.
Like Keith Thurman, I'm pro boner. Just wanted to let you know that. What is your hat representing? My eyesight ain't so good these days.
Oh, this is actually another podcast I've never been on, but it's hosted by a friend. Man, the mirror effect on these things. I try and straighten it, I go in the wrong direction. But it's Good Times with Mo. It is one of the top podcasts in the Philippines for like the past 13, 14 years running. And I'm friendly with the host, DJ Mo Twister is a name he was given early in his career in the 90s, and this has had to ride out because it's a strong brand, even though it now sounds ridiculous.
For people that are new to the Rafe experience, you once received a Fulbright scholarship offer to go to the Philippines. That led to you living there, writing a book, Pinoy Dreams, about Filipino. What was it called?
Pacific Rims.
Pacific Rim. Yes.
Before the movies came out. That's how old I am. That's how old I am.
Yes. I thought Pacific Rim was what Robert Kraft orders at the massage parlor, but that's another story for another time.
Breakfast?
But we will hear you often bring correct Tagalog pronunciations to regular box speak. You'll drop a Pacquiao once in a while.
Pare, Manny Pacquiao, Nonito Donaire. I will not give up on Nonito Donaire. I understand that he allows people to call it Donaire here, but it's just not
Dinero.
right.
Dinero.
No, that is anything Mike Tyson says is correct. I love Mike Tyson. Do you think you'd risk it all for Rachel? We can't have those kind of conversations in 2024. You would. I know.
This is not what this show is about. All right. To close on this category, we did hear heavy PBC rumors that we were getting Benavidez versus Morrell, which two guys avoided by Canelo, two guys that moved up in weight to move on with their lives, two guys that are in the PBC bubble. Hey, let's fight each other. Heck, that fight was announced, if you remember, last fall until it fell apart. I don't have anything against Jesse Hart, who gave your boy Zurdo, El Turdo, some, two very tough title bouts in the past. I just covered Jesse Hart on Team Combat League, led Philadelphia to the championship. He's a veteran. But why are we not doing Benavidez Morrell right now when it makes so much sense and it's in-house, brother?
That would make sense. Look, you would have to talk to Mr. C, the great. I'd like to thank the great Al Heyman for many things, but sometimes he acts like a Mr. C, and you don't get the fight that you want immediately in every division. It seems like it's late in the year. Some of the bigger plans that promoters had laid out did not come together. They still owe fighters dates. They're gonna jam them together. It's Night of Champions, baby. We have been doing this since way back in the day. You met me in Temecula and the beard Patrick Connor, and we saw the same kind of card where it had a bunch of an incredible number of A-side names. None of them in a fight you really wanted to see, other than I won't speak for you. Maybe you did want to see that main event with Antonio Tarver and Jonathan Banks, but it wasn't for me. And,
I have my press pass somewhere in this disgusting area over here in my office. I have my Night of Champions
cardboard press pass. That was not one built to last.
No, that was December of 2014 in Temecula when Al Heyman pre-PBC was like, I got all these named fighters that need one more fight this calendar year, so let's load them up. I mean, we saw Sergio Mora get dropped off camera by an MMA guy. That's how deep that card was that night. Do you remember when Boobs Brazil knocked that dude out and they just turned the house lights off when he was still down and out on the canvas? And they were like, we're cleaning up now. The show's over.
I remember it all. I remember watching the great Egyptian magician. What's his first name? El Bialy?
Ahmed El Bialy. He just had a tussle with Caleb Plant.
He likes to
tussle. Who hasn't? Who
Yeah.
hasn't? So anyway, yeah.
He was in a bathrobe. He won his fight, and then he was in a bathrobe downstairs.
He was in a terry cloth bathrobe. Yeah. No announcement yet from PBC. That was the WBA that essentially publicly announced that it looks like Tank versus Roach next. We'll see what that announcement is and what we get. Topic number 2, Rafe, if we can move along here. There's a big lawsuit going on. You remember Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia in April, that big super fight, which ended with Garcia dropping Haney 3 times en route to handing him his first defeat. Then he popped for Osterine on the day before the fight and the day of the fight. And then it get changed to a no contest. Ryan suspended for a year, fined a lot of money. But Team Haney said, no, we're not done yet. They have filed a lawsuit in New York for battery, for Garcia failing the drug test purposely missing weight. They're adding Golden Boy to that, basically saying, look, we need a timeline of events to what you knew at what time. Rafe, I don't need to tell you that the boxing Twitter response has not been kind to Haney. As a old school New Yorker, is Algieri right, the great Chris Algieri, avocado enthusiast, when he said this week in response to this, settle your beefs in the ring, not in the courtroom? I think they once said that to Andre Ward, but he went the distance with it anyway. More power to him. What do you think about Devin Haney dropping that subpoena, that Eris subpoena on Rye Guy?
This may surprise you, Brian, because I am not a very litigious individual. I have never sued anyone. I am kind of scared when I meet lawyers, aside from the handful that I knew since before they were in the legal profession. I don't know what they're going to do to me. But I think that Devin Haney is doing the right thing. Not
what?
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say you think he should finish
no,
this lawsuit.
I didn't set it up like that. But that would be too harsh. Look, boxing Twitter can say what they want to say about Haney. It seemed like his stock online is down basically until he comes back and gets a big win and looks like an elite fighter again, which I think he's absolutely capable of. He needs to prove it, but sure. And he'll have questions to answer about his chin and ability to fight, to go 12 rounds with elite welterweights and that extra power that he wasn't facing at 135 pounds or what? How long was that 140? Just like one fight with Regis.
Yeah, he won the title against Regis, and then he fought Rye Guy at 140, but that was it.
Okay.
And it's believed that he no longer can make 140 anymore either,
right,
along with Garcia.
See, look, that may be a problem for him going forward in his career, but in any case, as far as the lawsuit goes, what else should he do? Or I guess to me, it's like I would love to see cheaters, people who get caught cheating in the sport of boxing, held accountable more than they are currently held accountable. Yeah, you get suspended. I mean, you got people were like, oh, well, it doesn't count unless you get caught twice, basically just because Canelo got caught once and we want to keep cheering for him and being his PR agent.
So are you still sore about clenbuterol gate back in?
I'm just saying, am I sore about him testing positive in a sport where probably everyone is on some kind of juice? I have mixed feelings about that. I understand the context that it's in, and he's probably I think that certainly growing up growing up. Well, he was born in Soviet Kazakhstan. Basically Triple G probably had some juice put in him before he even knew what he was eating. And who knows what he did during his career. I think it is safe to assume, as boxing fans and followers, that almost every fighter is not always clean. And they get it's a very competitive sport. The rewards are extremely high. You get away with what you can get away with. That's unfortunate. When people do get caught, I think that I am in favor of some kind of better, more just harsher punishments. And
I think we're past that though, dude. Like I would have had that take 5-6 years ago, and this is probably more a result of me hanging around with Luke Thomas too long, who is very pro drugs, only from the standpoint that like you can't monitor it.
I agree.
Everybody's probably using it. So I want to interrupt you only to ask this. In this case, because Ryan passed all his VADA tests leading up to fight night, and because we had heard that he had to cut 15 pounds during fight week, there seems to be the idea that that ostarine, which was in such small doses, really only could have been helpful in the weight cutting process. So if that's the case, and look, Haney's,
go ahead.
What I'm trying to say is this: Haney's basically trying to say you cheated, that's why you beat me. Whereas the rest of the boxing world is saying, yes, he cheated, but you lost because of that left hook that repeatedly you couldn't pick up. Doesn't it feel petty after the fact to chase him financially? I don't know. That I'm torn here. I'm not feeling great about this lawsuit.
Look, I don't think it changes how I feel about the fight. And yes, he did. I don't think that I don't think anyone would I don't think he can argue. And I don't think that he is trying to argue that, or the lawsuit is trying to argue that I lost because of the ostarine, because of the banned
it's completely trying. I think it's completely
okay.
trying.
It may make that point, but what all that matters is this person, your opponent, was signed a contract to abide by these rules, broke them, and then, Devin Haney suffered damages on account of that, which are going to be pretty easy to show because even though the result was overturned, people still consider it a loss. People still saw those knockdowns, and I bet he'll be able to document the amount of money he was making going into that fight and the kind of offers he's looking at coming out of that fight, even though he technically at this point didn't lose according to the New York Commission. And like, why not try and claw back some of that money from Ryan Garcia? And a second point there is that if I were Devin Haney, I would really, even more than before, not like Ryan Garcia. And I would want to mess with his head and I would want to ruin his life. Ryan Garcia is trying to ruin his life on his own, and good luck with that. I kind of am rooting for him to succeed. But
whoa,
I just don't care, man. I don't have time for these guys.
This is Danny's night. Please.
Yeah, look, so he may not need this extra push, but I bet Devin Haney might enjoy taking a little money from Ryan on the way down.
I know that's the hard part. The hard part is if you take the hard tough guy stance, which I guess I'm doing, I guess I'm leading with boxing's bullshit. Then you're going to say, Haney, dude, enough with the lawsuit. Get back in the gym, find the eye of the tiger, knock him out in the rematch, show us what's up. But that means we're making a baby face out of the most decrepit person in boxing at the moment, right? Your boy Rye guy.
I do think that Haney's best way to play this going forward is to really, I don't know if he seems kind of reserved and just kind of like a go about his business kind of guy, at least in the, his press appearances. And, he's flashy, but he doesn't talk that much in terms of talking trash. But anyway, I think that he should play up a heel angle. Like he should really mess around, like come like ring walks with the neck brace, just like clown and be like, yeah, I'm doing, like, I know I'm doing this to mess with people, and I'm going to piss you off even more and hopefully still get paid off of it in the end.
So should he pile up paint cans behind his podcasting setup and potentially toss some red on Sandy Ryan? Maybe
a little theatricality never hurt anyone is all I'm saying.
All right, I got to ask you about, because there's like real rules, and you're right. In the real world, Rye guy cheated. It cost Haney opportunity. He got embarrassed publicly constantly over it. Ryan's still dunking on him left and right to today. If this is the only way you can quote unquote get him back, then in the real world, I understand it. Boxing's not the real world. Let me give you an example. Was Oscar De La Hoya screwed on the scorecards against Trinidad in 1999? I think without question, in my opinion. I know I'm a Oscar super fan, but boy, can I point out his misdirections quicker than anybody else, okay? You better be able to if you're going to be an Oscar super fan, or you're going to be wearing the fishnets. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Oscar, in my opinion, does not, and his fan base, which includes me, is not allowed to publicly complain about the robbery. Why? Because he circled and ran away the last 3 rounds in the biggest fight of his career, whether it's because his corner told him to or not. whether it's because he was exhausted from outboxing Trinidad or not. In my opinion, under some weird street boxing justice, you can't complain about something when you, in a lot of ways, caused it. There's a similar thread from boxing Twitter, which is almost as full of shit as boxing itself, by the way, that because Haney and his team didn't try to penalize Ryan after purposely missing weight, meaning they didn't try to make him suck down another day and re-weigh in Saturday morning, a lot of people said, look, you're the ones that made the big mistake. You could have called off the fight when Ryan missed weight. You could have done this and that. You thought you were going to win. You let it happen. He surprised you. Are you in any level of agreement under my boxing street justice beef here that because Team Haney could have and probably should have exercised more A-side leverage on Saturday, the day of the fight back in April, and didn't, now it seems very petty and after the fact that they're retroactively trying to take back some money? That's my opinion. What do you think of that?
I think it is intentionally petty. I think he wants to be petty. I think he wants to get that money back because why not? Especially, at one point I do it. This has nothing to do, I think, with a legal argument, but one point I found convincing in some of the Haney camp statements was that like Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy got paid out, an extra $1 million off this fine. Why? Because they helped, they probably helped Ryan go through with it. And, we're pushing for everything to go through no matter what happened with this fight. I mean, we've seen it, and it's funny you mentioned Algieri not wanting to, saying Haney shouldn't pursue the legal remedy and should settle it in the ring because, granted it was in another country and it would have been harder to recoup damages on it. But he suffered a much worse fate against Conor Benn at the end of his career. And I guess, look, actually, no, never mind. Ben didn't test positive during that one. But so he can't. So Algieri doesn't have that out here. In any case, I guess to me, it's petty. And I think that in just sort of the court of public opinion, it's not going to play well. He's going to lose. But I think Devin Haney already lost in the court of public opinion because of this fight. And the only way he's going to sort of restore his reputation is when he gets back in the ring, hopefully against Ryan Garcia under clean circumstances. But if not, then just move on with your career. Leave this guy behind because he might never get his act together and try to be, basically rebuild your career. Like he's young enough. He has the talent to, I think it's without question that he'll probably be, he'll be able to maneuver himself into another title at, 140 or 147 pounds in the future. Whether or not he does it in a way that really, really improves his legacy we'll wait and see about that. But he's, that's the only way he's going to recoup his public image. It doesn't matter. And all of this stuff about, well, you shouldn't have let him blow weight and you shouldn't have gotten in the ring after that. Fine. That's fine in the court of public opinion. That has nothing to do with like the case that he is making in actual court, which is that you took a banned substance. You broke this cardinal rule of competition that is written down here that you agreed to. Then you won the resulting competition. And on account of, as a result of that, I have lost these opportunities and it has caused me these damages. Settle up because you also don't want to go to discovery and neither does Golden Boy.
But also, it's a no contest now, not an official loss. Also, they both got paid. Also, Ryan suspended, has to pay a big fine. I don't know. I look at it as back to that argument where I compared it to Oscar Trinidad, because I believe Haney lost this fight ultimately because he took Ryan lightly. And I think he had reason to that week. I wrote a column that week saying, why are they mentally letting this kid go forward with it when he's obviously out of his mind? Turns out there was some combination of playing us and definitely out of his mind that just worked. But when I look back, Haney lost that fight, not because of the Osterine, but because of now what is a repeated track record of not being able to pick up the speed and power of Garcia's hook, because now we're seeing leaked sparring footage from 5 years ago where Ryan's tagging him consistently with that shot. Now people are reproducing their amateur fights where Ryan's jumping in and landing that left hook. I just think Ryan duped us to a large degree. He paid a penalty. Now the only thing to do is to run back that rematch, which would be massive. They're both going to make big money, yes. but Haney has the ultimate chance to go in there and completely win back his reputation. Not crazily dissimilar to Ray Leonard losing to Duran, then wanting to run it back, but advantageously realizing that Duran put on a lot of weight between fights. He partied, he whatever. They ran back that rematch quick when Duran wasn't quite ready and they no-mossed him. If I'm Team Haney, the only thing I'm doing is saying, hey, right guy, what is the exact day that you're off that suspension? Because that day we're having the rematch. That's the move, dude. Don't give him a chance to come back and get well and whatever. Settle it in the, hey, let's settle this. All right. You ever see those lawyer commercials? Oh, they got that guy. Let's settle this. Settle that shit in the ring, dude. I'm not even that old school tough guy in a barbershop or street corner, but settle that shit in the ring, man.
Why not both? You don't think that they'll still try and make a fight out of this? You don't think that they'll still try and make more money off of it?
It depends if Haney doesn't want Ryan to financially benefit from his name moving forward.
The Canelo.
Yeah, pretty much.
The heel Canelo. Yes. I'm familiar with that maneuver.
Yes. You've seen that trick before. It's an I mean, look, it's another day in boxing, right? Boxing's a flowing circus, but it is an interesting.
Boxing's a hood sport, as the great Angel Garcia once said.
Yes, boxing is a hood sport. So we'll see where that goes. But seriously, if you were going to rank,
really don't have much of a place in a hood sport. But look, to me, it's the bigger picture. Like I care less about Devin Haney's specific case and how much I feel, how much on his side versus Ryan Garcia's or whatever I am. It's more about commissions, promoters, anyone who TV networks or whatever, internet platforms, whatever you want to call them, like they aren't able to to enforce penalties against drug chiefs well enough. And that's a problem. I agree with your podcast partner Luke Thomas, who that it's a problem that we can't really fix. But when we catch someone, let's go after them with everything. And why not? And if and while a year is longer than the 6 months that Canelo and some other fighters got off of their suspensions, it's just like, why? I think that I'm in favor of fighters sort of fighting for their rights in this case, which I think Devin Haney's doing.
All right. I mean, I get it. And again, I'm not trying to make Rye Guy the good guy in this story under any circumstance. I'm going to give you
he's already the A side when they fight again, even though he's the one, that's the thing. Can Devin Haney dictate terms in a rematch? I don't think he can. Even before this move kind of played against him, on the internet and among fans, among the hardcores, he was already, that's the thing. Ryan Garcia did all this, and because he pulled that win out of his ass, he's got so much talent, he was able to do that. He comes out the winner, even though he cheated. He blew weight. He did all the. He
drank that apple juice beer, and he said that shit was tasty. Remember he said that.
I try not to follow him.
Yeah, I mean the guy sucks. Let's be honest. He's fun to watch though. So let me give you 4 super fights that can be made in boxing, and I want your hardened ass to rank them in terms of how much you actually care. Are you ready? Fury Usyk 2. Benavidez Canelo. The biggest fight I would make if I was the czar of the telestrator of Al Ashik, which is Tank versus Shakur, or number 4, Haney Ragai 2. How do you order those in your interest level?
Fury Usyk 2, Canelo Benavidez. Almost the exact order you said them in. Tank Shakur, and then Haney Garcia too.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, they're great.
Those are the fighters I like to watch more, ranked first.
All right. I mean, I'm all for. You don't like Tank and Shakur like I do, man.
I was thinking I could maybe see. I was thinking, yes, I might want to put that above Canelo and Benavidez, but I guess there's too much of a risk of that being a stinker, because we know what Shakur's going to try and do.
I will welcome that stinker because we need answers to these questions. We need the 5 princes to all fight each other a lot, right? That's how you make eras, Taylor Swift, right? You know what I'm saying?
Are they still five princes? I mean, that was a long time ago when we tried that, trying to recrown them on
Hey,
something they
Mulvaney,
may not have earned, that comparison to the Four Kings era of welterweight and middleweight boxing.
let's credit Karen Mulvaney, heavy hitting boxing podcast with I just make him Irish whenever I do that.
He's Irish.
I guess. Well, he was born in England. So you're saying he's like Fury? He's an Irishman born in England.
I'm an Englishman in New York.
Yeah. All right, there you go. Shout out to Vermont's own Karen Mulvaney, who dubbed them the Five Princes. All right, let's move on to the main event of this week's podcast: women's boxing. Get ready. First of all, I don't know if you have Brinks TV. It's really up there with like BLK Prime and Wealth TV. And what was that one that AWE? What was that one that Heyman put Austin Trout on when the PBC launched? What was that? Was that BET?
Oh, man,
that might have been straight BET, right?
I can't remember, man.
Brinks TV is apparently owned by John Brankus of ESPN Sports Science fame. They put on Alicia Baumgartner versus that Belgian cop, Delphine Persoon, and they had a no contest. But did you see that Persoon walked in with a Sergio Martinez brace on her leg? I don't know if you saw that.
In fact, I indeed missed that detail and missed just about everything else about this. But,
it wasn't memorable.
No contest. Yeah.
It wasn't worth your time. What was the top ranked triple header from the theater at MSG Friday night. And I missed it. I said that on Morning Combat. I missed the saucy storylines coming in to stir up the drama, soap opera style. So you had welterweight champion Sandy Ryan of the UK. You had Mikaela Mayer, former champion at 130, fresh off of losing a welterweight title bid earlier this year in the UK to Natasha Jonas in a split decision that could have gone either way. I didn't even know. Did you know about this trainer beef between them when Sandy Ryan stole Kei Karoma from Mayer, and then Mayer's like, you can have him. F you. You guys should have told me you were working out together. I'm a future opponent for Sandy Ryan. That got a little, did you feel that or no? You didn't feel it.
I didn't know about it until fight week. And the way it played out, it ended up being a very spicy storyline. Up until Paintgate, up until the exploits of any individuals involved in New York last Friday, up until then, I didn't really care. Like, it just seemed like Marissa Mayer doing her.
Mikaela, can you put some respect on
Who's Marissa Mayer? That's someone. Anyway, Mikaela Mayer doing her, like, being really loud on Twitter, going on podcasts and talking a lot of like annoying shit. And then, and it, I don't know, like, I was like, okay, whatever. Like,
well, I got pulled in when Pancake happened, and this was Friday, the night
how I got pulled in too.
Yeah, Ryan was on her way out of the hotel on the way to the arena, I assume, when an assailant popped up, poured a can of red paint like it was the opening scene in Carrie on her, ran away. Ryan was so shaken that her team was like, you need to pull out of the fight. To her credit, she says, I won't let them win.
She'll never jack.
Unlike Gareth Dowling, the jacker, my favorite young Irish prospect, she'll never jack. She won't let up. She'll be there till she can't breathe, as John Fury said. I got to give ESPN credit because when I turned on the broadcast, you had Kriegel in the locker room with both. First, Ryan was like, I don't care. There's going to be a war. I'm coming after her. She wants a war. She's got it. I know they did it. I know she's at fault. And then they go to Mayer and she's like, you guys actually think I had a hand in this? Like, it was really a perfect WWE style storyline coming to real life. Then they have the fight, which is a 10-round kind of women's title thriller that was all action. That was back and forth. We'll get to that. But afterwards, after Ryan loses a very close decision, she continues to blame Team Mayer for trying to ruin her career. She then reveals that they put out pamphlets all over the hotel and arena in Manhattan that had her face and image on there with a lot of disparaging comments. Now, Rafe, I do not believe these pamphlets have been found out, have been proven. There's no pictures of them. And Team Mayer, in response to this, has vehemently come out and said, guys, like, we didn't do it. Like, we were against this. We told you all that paint was BS. But there's one of two things are truth here, Rafe. Okay. Either Team Mayer is saucy as shit and played a head games level even beyond Caleb Plant, taking davidbenavides.com, the website, in March of 23 and turning into a Caleb Plant merch store to mess with Benavides. It's deeper and dirtier than that. Or Sandy Ryan's batshit crazy. And either way, I gotta see a rematch, dude. Which one is it right now? Or I'm sorry, or three, Rafe Bartholomew just got back from New York, and he may have spilled a little bit of that paint on some women for the first time.
I was doing a job and I had a little extra, and I thought, I might as well try and help my girl. Look, I think that Sandy Ryan, I don't think that she's insane to suspect her opponent who built the fight in a very personal way, and they appear to have some personal, animus or beef over the coach Keiko Roma, who, I don't know how, I'm guessing he's pretty involved in Sandy Ryan's camp. Obviously was Mikaela Mayer's coach, from, her amateur career on, all that. It seems like there's real beef over that. I think that she is, I tend to agree, or at least the most logical explanation for what happened on Friday to Sandy Ryan is that it was an intentional attack, given the timing, given someone was ready for her to come out of the hotel.
Just to jump in, I'm not saying she's crazy for linking Team Mayer. I'm saying if the pamphlet thing is made up, then this is like a reverse crazy job. But I don't think it's a leap to guess that it was Team Mayer, even if they did or didn't do it. Right there, that's the logical explanation.
There's only, and if it was not Team Mayer, then it was someone who meant to do it for some reason. Like, for example, if it were me and I were like the crazed Shooter McGavin fan in Happy Gilmore, being like, "Yeah, jackass." Yeah, jackass. I'm trying, maybe Mikaela didn't tell me to do that, but I took it upon myself to help her out and decided to throw some paint in the morning. Like, I guess there's plausible deniability on that regard. It could be completely random. It could be some just bizarre mistake. I
mean, this is your city. There's weird bullshit that goes on.
Sure,
every single day. You know what Luke and I saw on the subway yesterday? A crazed man who had a giant gash that was bleeding on his forehead was waiting for people to sit down, and then he would look at them and scream "run" at the top of his lungs, and it freaked me the heck out. And they ran, dude. They ran.
I would definitely leave. Like, why would you were making a mistake by sitting in front of him in the first place? I guess if he comes up to you and you're already seated, there's only so much you could do. But like, this is, we, in the 90s, we had some street smarts about us. Like, when there's someone who looks crazy or looks like a problem or looks like they want to fuck you up, like, unless you're ready for that and you want it too, get in another car.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Thank you for the tutorial on how to handle Manhattan.
Don't start none, won't be none. It goes way back. It's one of the earliest rules of society.
See, I was taught no eye contact at all times in Waterbury.
Also good. Also, look, when I was in 7th grade riding the train to school, like I made eye contact with someone for too long. Thankfully, the doors were already closing, and he gave me a throat slash.
Wow.
Wow. This was like over 2 seconds. I was just walking out the door. Anyway, these things, there are people out there. It is a big city. It could be a completely random attack, although everything lines up for it to have been intentional in some way. Of course, there's no way we can't assume that it was Marissa Mayer. Why am I saying that? Mikaela Mayer.
Yeah, why are you saying that? Who is that? Can I look that up?
Might as well, because I believe it's a real name. Anyway, I was planning on calling her Mikaela McGavin for the rest of the podcast because she does give off some shooter vibes, big front runner. Yeah.
Marissa Mayer, former CEO of Yahoo. There you go.
Oh, okay. Shout out to Keith Idek and Ariel Hawani and the upcoming, whatever it's called, Vertical.
They are uncrowned.
Uncrowned. Well, okay, good. Wouldn't you rather be crowned? Are you crowning?
Yeah, I did have a big breakfast, sir. Yes, let's continue.
I don't think Sandy Ryan is crazy to at least think that maybe someone involved with Mikaela Mayer was involved, or thought is behind this attack. I also think that like she's right to have been upset and rattled and think that this affected her performance, even though her performance was pretty darn good. I don't know how much better she expected to fight or could have fought. And hopefully we get a chance to see that in a rematch with no one being attacked in any way before the fight. But that would I think that would rattle someone. And I think that the people brushing it off like, oh, it's just paint. And Tim Bradley had a couple comments like that during the broadcast. And I think he was just trying to build up the fight. But
he's saying you have to expect it. His rant was you should expect that on foreign soil. And
has that ever happened? I mean, look, we need to talk to Tim about what happened when he fought Junior Witter, because he still seems mad about it.
They messed with the hotel temperature in his room, like everything. There was all these little things, and he expected it. He was ready. But he had Big Ray in the corner, though. Do Big Ray don't F around?
I guess like Big Ray do not F around. There's a little bit of gamesmanship that is part of boxing history like that. But that kind of thing, basically, even though it's just paint, it's saying to someone like, I can get you wherever you at. Like as soon as you step out, as soon as you go out in the street, I can get you. I can
Where you go, I go, champ.
Exactly. It's alarming, and it sort of punctures your sense of security in the world and in society. And like, you're just like, people are out to get me. I need to watch my back at all times. And then to go from that to the weird adrenaline spike that would create, then change, go through all that, and then come back and fight. It's hard to imagine that would not affect her performance. But again, she performed very well in the ring. So she has a right to be mad.
It was a wonderful fight. It took a few rounds to heat up. Boy, did it. You had Mayer winning most of the first half of the fight with boxing, but it's not just like pure box. Her reinvention at welterweight has been really interesting. She's almost a technical brawler at welterweight, meaning, there's a lot of craft in there, but she stands in and gives as good as she gets. But Ryan was the bigger fighter and the bigger puncher. And I thought that surge she had in the second half was great. In fact, I scored it even 5-5, but it was one of those things that if somebody had to win, I did prefer Ryan's offensive attack overall. I thought she landed the bigger shots. Who did you think deserved the nod that ultimately went razor close to Mayer?
The Derby lass was more to my liking. I agree with almost exactly the way you saw it. It was a very hard fight to score. I was trying, I didn't score seriously, but after each round, I'm thinking like, who would I actually give that to if I had to? There were a lot of close rounds, arguments for both sides. The last two rounds for me were when I think Ryan would have done enough to pull away, unless you already had her so far behind that she could only tie, or if you had it 4-4, then Ryan ends up winning that fight in 10. If you had it, if you had 3-1, I can't do math, but you know what I'm saying. If you had it 5-3, then you end up with a draw. If you had it 6-2, which is not impossible, then you end up with Mayer winning by a point. Look, there were so many close rounds early in that fight that I don't like that wide Mayer scorecard, but it's only a 10-round fight. It's one of the problems. There's only so many options for that. And there were close rounds throughout. It was a really good fight. I think Ryan deserved the nod. And I'm also not surprised. Like this happened to Mayer when she went to the UK and had and challenged one of theirs in a fight that many thought that she deserved to win, especially in women. I don't know why it seems like it's worse in women's boxing, where whoever's the lead promoter is going home with the belt.
Well, also, I think part of that is the fact that you're doing 10 rounds, 2-minute rounds. They become a sprint of offense. I think Katie Taylor, who, by the way, had the opportunity ahead of that Serrano fight, the first one in MSG that was, exceeded expectations. They had an opportunity to do 3-minute rounds and 12 rounds, and Taylor said no, and she's saying no ahead of the rematch too. I think it's strategic. There's fighters that have figured out how to use that strategy, and it leads to a lot of really close fights. So for the record, when Mayer fought Jonas, that was in January in Liverpool, she won 97-93 on one scorecard, lost the other two, 96-94 and 96-95 on the road. This time at home, she gets a 96-94 and a 97-93, and then that third scorecard was even 95-95. Either way, they have to do a rematch. The story demands it. The fight was great and so close. And did you see that Ginger Evan Korn, the PR maven from Top Rank, show up in their pre-fight package as a talking head, brother? Yes, Corny.
I popped hard for the corner man. I was so excited to see him. We go way back with him when he was just the director of comms for Top Rank before he got into the matchmaking game that he is now participating, being raised up by legends. Bruce Trampler and that other guy, God Goodwin, some blah 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 blah.
The other guy, Abdul.
They're both really good. It's Top Rank. It's the best in the biz. We got love for the corner man. He always set us up with Uncle Bob, Grandpa Bob, even Isaac Dogbe, Dogbe's dad. I'm happy to see him thriving in his business.
Big night on a boxing, unless you're fighting Navarrete back-to-back nights, then it's a really awful night.
Rough night for Ghana boxing.
We gotta talk about Kriegel. I made this rant on MK. Dude,
I love Kriegel.
I interviewed Kriegel. I think it was Fury Wilder 2. I did like a stand-up interview. He was great, dude. He's such a nice guy. He's obviously great on camera. He's cornered the market on writing about fathers and sons. I was shocked that we didn't get a deep breakdown of Mikaela Mayer's relationship with her father for this one. But what we got was a really excited Kriegel, who claimed before the fight that the winner of this would get a placement on the Mount Rushmore in women's boxing history. And during the fight, compared it to Hagler. He said, you can have Hagler Hearns. I'll take Mayer Ryan. And our boy,
you can have Barrera Morales.
Barrera Morales.
And just shout out to Bernardo Osuna for quickly being like, no.
Osuna was like, no. It's like, we got to relax here. You got to slow your roll. Dude, I know, like, when you're cut, like, look, when I'm #blessed enough to be doing that in-ring interviewing job, I add a lot of WWE spice on there because you're in the moment, dude. You're in the ring. I mean, this is it, bro. Was that man just caught up in the moment of chick boxing or what? Because those were some large claims.
You'd have to ask him about that. I think the whole Mount Rushmore thing, there isn't much of a Mount Rushmore to speak of there, so maybe it doesn't take that much to get into it.
Okay, off the top of your head, dude, Layla Ali.
Yeah, the coal miner's daughter.
You could put her on there for sure. She
has a movie. Put her on Mount Rushmore.
You easily could put on Katie Taylor and Serrano, by the way. What about Ann Wolf, Hall of Famer? What about who's the other one? What's her last? The one with the European name. You know what I'm talking about.
Breakus.
Right? Lucia Riker. That was the name I was thinking of. I think off the top of your head, you can sort of claim a solid 4, 5, or 6.
Yeah. Look, Brian, I told you this before. I mean, like that to me, if we're talking more like a Mount Splashmore than a Mount Rushmore. But like the whole Mount Rushmore concept is it's been so perverted by weird sports media talk, by First Take arguments, that it doesn't, and just the crazy stuff that people are talking about online, that I feel like it's fair game to throw out a wild
I know, but we didn't even mention Clarissa Shields, who might literally be the greatest of all time.
She's like Mount Olympus of that. Yeah, I forgot.
So, like, Mikaela Mayer's a 2-division champion, and that's great. Sandy Ryan had like 8 fights coming in, or 9 pro fights. I mean, like, what are we doing here? That's all I was saying. Okay, what are we doing here?
I agree. What are we doing? So to me, the bigger sin against boxing was to compare it to one of the sport's holy trilogies, Eric Morales versus Marco Antonio Barrera. I mean, that's territory you don't step into lightly. That's like that's like, even, and we've both made this comparison. I think we stand up to it. We agree, we don't back down from it. But like, I remember feeling worried the first time I actually let it out of my mouth that Manny Pacquiao and Juan Manuel Marquez, the fourth one, yes, was up there in terms of a high, incredibly competitive short war with the war. Like it was like our generation's version of Hagler Hearns.
Or Corrales Castillo. I still think it's the greatest fight since Corrales Castillo. I do think you can add like Donaire Inoue 1 in that convo. Triple G Canelo 2. I mean,
it's a big convo. Those are great fights, but it's a big tent at that point. In any case, you get worried when you make that kind of comparison, because boxing history really does matter to the sport. It matters to fans. It's one of the things that I think sets, the boxing fan and the boxing discussion apart from a lot of other modern sports discussions, where it's really all about the moment, where there is, boxing cherishes its history. And to make a wild comparison like that, yeah, I mean, Bernardo, I think I appreciated Bernardo Osuna coming in quick with a, hey, whoa, hey, yo, chill out, lick him down like a stamp. Also, like the only look, this was a little minor thing I observed at the end of the fight. Mark Kriegel probably, I didn't feel great about him hugging Marissa Mayer to what's her, god damn it,
Mikaela.
Yeah, that woman boxer. You shouldn't be congratulating on that level. Like, they had like a great, like, I'm so happy for you little moment, which it didn't look right, especially in the various ways you could argue that Sandy Ryan got a pretty raw deal on Friday night.
I would agree. But now they got a fight I need to see a second time. So interesting developments here inside the box.
Mikaela Mayer, Mikaela McGavin is out here talking about, oh, well, maybe I can go on to bigger things. I want to unify the division. What, man, look, I know that when you win a close fight and you don't want to go back to it, every fighter does that. So it's not like this is some surprise or some terrible breach of conduct on her part. But man, that's disappointing. Like, run it back. That was and honestly, Mikaela Mayer fought her ass off in that. Her inside fighting, have we seen that before? I have not watched enough of her dumbass fights to know. But
I don't know, but if dumbass is the right word. But she's reinvented at welterweight, like I said, to be more of a brawler and
because she's not strong enough to hold these bigger women off of her.
She's learning how to be a power puncher seemingly for the first time. She's sitting down on her shots more, and it's working. I think she has to go back through Ryan for everything we just said. But she does have big options. Look, Baumgartner who's what, the undisputed champion at 135, has been talking about moving up to try to fight Clarissa, which is wild. I'd love to see Mikaela and Baumgartner in a big heated rematch, how close that first one was. I'm wondering if you think Mayer, how long do you think Katie Taylor, after the Serrano rematch, which is November at Cowboy Stadium on the Jake Paul Mike Tyson card, do you think she could fight the winner of that? I mean, they're close enough in weight to some really big names that it is interesting here that Mikaela can kind of hopefully run the table and get these big chances. Chantel Cameron, another one who lost her undisputed 140 title and the rematch to Taylor there.
Look, man, I'm not out here trying to build Mikaela Mayer's career. Like, I hope that they all beat her ass and she can go home.
Wow.
It's the sell job, the hype job is all. Look, she's a very good, she lived up to it Friday night. It's like hard to argue with that kind of performance, but I'm not a fan. I'm not going to be a fan.
Okay. You're more of a Jenny Fuse fan. She's a world champion now.
Is she? How'd that happen? How? Against who?
You fell asleep for a few years, and all these things are changing inside the box.
Against who?
Did you happen to see that co-main at all? Are you a believer in Xander Zayas unbeaten at 154? Because look, Felix Verdejo did not live up to the calling of the next great Puerto Rican icon. He'll be iconic in really dark ways. Is Xander Zayas that guy? Because he kind of looked like that guy on Friday.
No, he's not that guy. Like, I mean, he's good.
Okay, not yet that guy, or he ain't that guy.
I don't think he's that guy.
I
know he's young. What is he? 20 yet?
22, 23, really.
All right, that's old enough. Like, we would have seen enough by now. Like, there's a reason he's being moved so slow. It's not just because he's young. And he's like, it's like he still hasn't been in with an opponent who made me care. And they've been doing this for more than 5 years now, right? I mean, sure. It's just so
he beat Patrick Teixeira 2 fights ago. That's not nothing, right?
What was left of poor Tex, man? That guy has been through some wars.
Not much.
Yeah. And he probably did he stop him?
I don't believe so.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
All
So,
right. Well, hey,
somebody got
the
the
kid.
score right.
I mean, he's not
He
the next Cotto, but he's 19-0, or sorry, 20-0 right now, 12 KOs. 22 years old is Xander Zayas, and he took a unanimous decision very wide from Patrick Teixeira 2 fights ago. Hasn't really beaten up on anybody else. I mean, he beat Ronald Cruz. I mean, there's no major names, but it might be like, hey, it's time now. Let's get some major. Let's find out. Let's find out what we
Yes,
have.
yes. Look, I guess I should reserve judgment because
Okay.
we just don't know yet. We've just seen him get built very long and slow. I mean, this is almost the Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. build, and he
Oh,
seems
how
a lot
dare
more
you.
talented and capable than that.
And you're saying
And
Sebastian Zabik is not coming through that door right now? Yeah.
you just better hope that Sergio Martinez doesn't come through that door.
Oh, to close, it was Shoe York City on Friday. Are you up on Bruce Carrington from New York, raised in what, the Bronx, was it, or was he Brooklyn? I'm already forgetting. He's a flashy dude, big time knockout power, but this was that step up. Let's see what he's really got. A good vet in Uganda, Suleiman Sagawa, and we had to flip the coin. Who did you think won it? What were your thoughts on this performance from Shushu? Because he wasn't running through Sagawa, I'll tell you that much.
It seemed like a good step up performance where just like the kind of fight you need as a prospect who is blowing through opposition, hasn't really been in there against, sort of old grizzled veteran who knows how to survive, who can push you, who can figure out ways to win rounds. And it's the kind of, if Carrington, learns from it and improves from it and blah, 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 it's the kind of thing that we'll look back at and say, wow, that fight really improved him. Another feather in the cap of Bruce Trampler and Evan Korn and the Top Rank matchmaking brain trust. They know how to prepare a fighter, not just maneuver them into position to steal an easy belt, which they can do if they have a talent who requires that treatment, but also for a real talent who has a chance to be one of the top fighters in a division. And whatever, we'll see if they can rise sort of into pound for pound status beyond that. They also know how to bring someone along and get them the kind of different looks in terms of opponents to develop them that way. So it might have been that kind of fight where it helped him grow and he goes on to great things. It might have been a harbinger. Maybe at the
It
next
could go
level,
both
it ain't
ways.
all that.
Bruce is 27. He's 12-0 now. He's from Brooklyn, by the way. I think he's actually from Brownsville. So he's seen some shit, Rafe, as a lot of young boxers have. But I was really, like I said in MK, I was really impressed that he leaned on his boxing in this one. It wasn't easy to figure Sagawa out. I thought he made the right adjustments. I don't know if he's going to end up being the kind of dude that blows through guys at the higher level. We've seen a lot of big punchers kind of level out and be boxers, but I was happy that he had that boxing ability to lean on. We got to see. I mean, we got to slow the roll on it in a way, but I still like Bruce Carrington as a prospect here. I think that he's got the requisite background of amateur skills, the toughness, the flashy ability. We'll see. But this was okay, you passed the test. Now get back in that gym, work on it. Let's see what we got. I mean, is Top Rank reloading right now? Because Teo is kind of a wild card. Loma could be on the way out. They lost Bud. They're going to need to get these next guys ready right now.
I mean, this is more of a question for, Adam Abramowitz or one of the people who are really up on all the prospects in the sport. But usually Top Rank, I mean, you can count on them to have a lot of very high level young fighters who they're all developing at their own pace, some faster than others, some they're right on the fast track because, they see a lot of money in them or they think they're that good already. But like they usually have a pretty deep stable. I guess what the Top Rank is starting to have a number of fighters either graduate out through retirement or being near retirement or, getting out of their contracts and being like, I want to go make more money somewhere else. Let me
get that turkey leg.
Your excellency, let me get some money, or they just want to be free agents, so they're I guess that generation is starting to move on, or at least might move on in a lot of cases.
Yeah, but losing Bud and Shakur back to back and Loma's uncertainty, it's not right.
It's not so great. They need to elevate some star power soon.
Yeah.
I guess they're gonna choose their horses for the war, Brian.
Yes, yeah,
and push them forward and try and get them some belts.
I got a Lithuanian fighter. I got a
My Lithuanians over here, they're tough as nails, let me tell you.
I got a fight with the Thailand guy. Rafe, it was so fun to get back inside the box with you to close this week. We used to play a little fun game. Do you remember what it was called to end each episode?
Was it called Do You Care?
It really was called Do You Care at the week
The results
ahead
of this
in
game
box.
are going to be even worse than they were before.
Let's get fired up for this. Here we go. People used to love this. Rafe Boogs, Do You Care About Friday night, Sydney, Australia, ESPN Plus. Janabek Abu Gabu Gabu is going to take on Andre Mikhailovich for Janabek's IBF middleweight title. I'm not sure I will ever learn how to pronounce his last name until I announce one of his fights one day. But do you care about this Plus card?
I don't really care that much. I remember the old Kazakh power with the Q shirts that Janabek. Is it Alim Kanuli? At least in terms of how it's spelled.
Oh, Alim Kanuli. That's not that hard. Yeah.
Well, look, leave the gun, take the Kanuli. I don't look, man. I guess the most interesting thing about this fight is the guy going to be on weight because he was having some problems in the last time out, right?
Same thing Friday night from Malta, the island of Malta.
Oh, nice.
Is that an island?
They wear those hats there, right? In every movie.
This will air on DAZN, apparently. Muhammad Wasim takes on Sabelo Sebakaku in a bantamweight main event. What is this, a real thing, Dan Raphael? I'm reading your schedule. This is a Fight Freaks Substack schedule I'm reading here.
Fight Freaks, I hope you enjoy that. I hope you enjoy your DAZN subscriptions too.
We've got other off-TV fights. How about Saturday in Liverpool? Nick Ball versus Ronnie Rios for Ball's WBA featherweight title. I don't know if there's TV on that. You may have to get in some malware to see that. You a big Nick Ball guy? Probably not. All right, that's it.
Ronnie Rios, how is this still happening? Good for him. And I'm happy for the fighters who sort of, who sort of worn out. They're a bit worn out here stateside. They fought in StubHub and lost 16 times for various titles. They've been the B-side in 18 title fights. Haven't really ever looked that great or seemed like they should get more chances. But because they have that on their resume and they don't always mess up, they get the call again. I'm happy for Ronnie Rios continuing to get those kind of opportunities. And didn't he win one time? Didn't he? He showed up one night and actually
won a fight. I don't know, but he almost fought Stephen Fulton Jr. in his comeback fight recently, and then they switched.
Well, I bet Scooter wishes he had fought Ronnie Rios now.
Yeah, well, he had a tough one with Carlos Castro.
That's what I mean. That guy was getting in that ass.
He really was.
That right. Oh, those straight rights were rough, man. He fought. Fulton had to fight through some rough knockdowns and some scary moments when they fight.
The good news is the old iPad that used to have all the sound drops on it's still intact. All the sound drops are here. The future is bright for you and I putting our hands inside of the box, whether it's male or female, and telling you what we saw in there. So, Rafe,
Ryan,
this has been a joy.
It is. Before you leave me, man, I wanted to ask, first of all, congratulations to all of you at the Meadowlark former Showtime Brian Daly podcast, conglomerate on landing that Kamala Harris interview on all the smoke.
Yeah, all the smoke.
How close was Morning Combat to getting that nod? We
weren't going to get in that.
You weren't in the convo?
No, I think we're still trying to get who's Trump's right hand man? What's that guy?
That guy is more your speed, eh?
JD Vance. Yeah. Hopefully we'll see JD Vance on MK coming up soon.
You never know. He might be really into MMA, which all right. No, I love him. I love MMA. Brian, what would you talk to the vice president about if she came on Morning Combat? Would you press her on her UFC knowledge?
I'd pull out those pictures when she was a Montel Williams side piece, and I'd ask for answers. You know what I mean? Okay, that's the truth. All right,
that's the difference between you and Captain Jack, because you ain't gonna be talking to her.
Just like Paulie Malignaggi said, don't be. What did he say again?
Don't be talking about my side piece.
Yeah, you don't
You
get
don't
laid.
get lit.
Yeah,
Don't be talking about my
See,
side piece.
it's been so long. I need help on my own sound drops here. Rafe, it's been fantastic to get you back into watching women's boxing where you belong. Good luck on those paint projects. Hopefully you aren't
I'm putting
attacking
them
him.
away as soon as this ends. Don't worry. We'll
There
never
it
see it
is.
again. Never speak of this again.
He is a New York Times best-selling author. Where can they pick up your books? Is there like a website where it's all there?
Anywhere you can buy books. Obviously, Amazon.com, a service that many of you may have heard of, especially you PBC fans. Get on that Prime.
This guy calling the fight, Tim
That's
Zoo,
right.
October 19th.
I'm a PBC and a BC fan.
Yes.
Face to face.
You have both of those services.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
No, I mean Amazon. The books are Pacific Rims, McSorley, 2 and 2. McSorley's my dad and me. Otherwise, what's our tagline for that?
McSorley's my father and me, and then you had Love and
McSorley's
Basketball.
McCreagle and me. I
McCreagle and me, and then you wrote that book, Love and Basketball. The story.
I wish. That is one of my favorite movies. I'm a lifelong Omar Epps fan since I'm a kid, but no, I wrote a book called Basketball Love Story with the great Jackie McMullen.
I read the entire book cover to cover on a vacation in Jamaica a few years ago. It was very good, Rafe. I also love basketball, so it was fantastic. Thank you for your work, your service. Texas Monthly has one of the best over there in the Palace in Auburn Hills. His name is Rafe Bartholomew. There it is. Very much. So thank you folks for joining in. Please like, subscribe. If you like putting your hands in the box with us, we're going to do it as often as the fights dictate. Right, Rafe?
Oh, and with this sport, it's on fire. So we're going to be here nonstop.
Yeah. And if there's nothing going on, maybe we'll create something worth talking about. Okay. But for now, that's Rafe. This is your boy BC. Yeah. We out of here. Thank you. Peace, love, unity. Yeah.